It's been a week since I've been able to join you, but so much has happened in the last 168 hours since we last talked. Tonight we'll talk about why Charlotte exploded and Tulsa prayed. The deaths of Terrence Crutcher and Keith Lamont Scott cut deep into the hearts of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Charlotte, North Carolina. But scenes from those two communities on the night of September 21st show they express pains in two drastic ways. Regardless of what cable news station you were watching, you saw why one community prayed and another one exploded on live TV. This is Ted Hicks, Late Night Parents. Happy to be back with you. You can find me on Twitter as under the real Ted Hicks. You can find the show Late Night Parent. You can go to our website latenightparents.com, or you can go to facebook.com/Late Night Parents and find us there. You can follow us, you can like us, or you don't have to do anything at all. So it's you tell me. We also lost Major League Baseball star this morning, Jose Fernandez. Totally rocked the baseball world, Miami. He was a Cuban. He defected over here with his family, and he's gone now. So there's been a lot of loss since our last, a week ago we were talking about the terrorists. We were talking about New Jersey. We were talking about what happened in Chelsea. It's been a grim time, folks. Rest in peace to Bill Nunn, Radio Raheem. I want to make sure this entire show isn't about doom and gloom, because we've got to uplift each other. And in whatever ways that you have to try to uplift each other, through prayer, through fellowshipping with others, all the above, to get us through some of these dark times. Tonight we got a packed show, as usual. Opening up is our good friend Dr. Michele. She had an event this past weekend, which was a success. She's going to join us in about 45 seconds. 15 minutes past the hour, we're going to have Aris Persidis. He's going to join us. He's the founder and creator of Gridiron Mo. He's created an app called Voter Mo. You will be excited. You'll want to download the app. 30 minutes past the hour, we're going to have none other than CS Keys, San Diego's finest, the host of the CS Keys pregame show on the Mighty 1090 out in San Diego. And in our last segment, we're going to have a good friend of mine, Shawn Armor, will be joining us to talk about Charlotte, to talk about Tulsa, all the above. So we'll get this show started. You know what? I think we're going to go without the promos tonight. I don't know. It's just one of those feelings that I have. So we're going to start off with Dr. Michele. Our good friend asked Dr. Michele. She had a wonderful event that yours truly was absent from. I had my own technical difficulties in the village of Hempstead. But welcome to Dr. Michele. Dr. Michele, how you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Pretty good. I would say a successful event yesterday, to say the least.
It was a very successful event. I think the only thing missing was you and your family.
Oh.
Yes, no. But we understand. We had over 100 people that came out in the rain. and we started our fitness walk. We had children of all ages up to our more seasoned population that came out. One of my favorite groups, my running group, that is Black Girls Run, BGR, Long Island. They warmed us up with some stretching, and then we started our walking. And our second station was a core station where we learned how to have good posture, and that was done by Coach Lancelot Theobald. We worked our abs, learned the proper way to do squats and lunges, and we continued our walk. And some people ran around the track a couple of times up by the skate rink at Eisenhower Park. Others walked. Some did a combination of walking and running. And then our next station was boot camp with Coach Terrell. Coach Terrell went over more techniques as far as building up your cardiovascular system, making sure your form is correct, because that's the key thing. A lot of times when we're exercising, we think we're doing something, but a lot of times we're doing more harm than good if we're not having the proper form. And then our next station was with Jessica, Coach Jessica, where we did Zumba.
Great.
Yes. But our wrap-up, we gave away raffle prizes because everything was free. And like I said, it was a free walk. We didn't ask for anything. And some of the prizes that people walked away were with 30-minute massages, reflexology treatments, adult fitness gift certificates, youth fitness gift certificates for basketball, volleyball. And I guess our added treat was that we had two sponsors that were there, Body Armor and Ice. So we had nice samples there to give away in just case anyone was a little parched. And some special guests, other than the trainers that were there, we had a nutritionist, and we gave away apples and oranges and more bottled water, and we had a massage therapist. So if anybody felt that they had any aches or pains, Kim Jackson was there, who is out of our office and also is part of Black Girls Run. She did free massages. And the ones that I was also saying that we had in attendance, we had a couple of professional athletes that came through. One of them was Monique Stewart, who is a professional bodybuilder, and her category is figure. She came all the way from Laurel, Maryland to be present and also to help to motivate us. And we had even more local, Derek Atkins, who is a gold Olympic winner in the hurlers. And, of course, we had the wonderful participants that came out and, like I said, braved the rain, and the rain did not bother them a bit.
I would just like to make an announcement right now. Though Late Night Parents was not there yesterday in any way, shape, or form, not a son or daughter or anyone, a distant relative, we have a gift certificate for you for $50.
Thank you.
Whether it goes to some lucky person in a raffle or however, we wanted to present that to you yesterday, but we couldn't.
We deeply appreciate it. We deeply appreciate it. And, you know, I was wondering, I said, where is Ted? He said he was going to be here. And then I looked at my phone, and then I saw that you said the power was out. And I was like, oh, my goodness. But at least that's all it was. It was nothing more major than that. So
no,
all was forgiven.
Well, thank you. Thank you. As always, so I know we got to wrap up pretty quick because you're in transit. I mean, you're always on world tour.
Stop it. Wait a second.
Okay.
I understand you're leaving me hanging next week, is it?
Oh, that's what we're going to talk about. I'm not leaving you hanging. You're taking over the reins.
You are not going to be present, so you're leaving me hanging.
It's not Late Night Parents next week. It's a full hour of Ask Dr. Michele. You like how I backed my way out of that one, right?
Yes, a very special treat because somebody else is going to be traveling on the road.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Next week I will be in Baltimore, Maryland, attending the Oakland Raiders, soon to be Las Vegas Raiders, at the Baltimore Ravens and M&T Park. So,
good.
Decided to just get away for a day. I didn't drop on you that in the next upcoming weeks, I'm not sure if it's, and this is live on the air right now, Dr. Michele. I think either the 10th or the 17th, I think I'm going to be away. So if you're not away that weekend, there will be another opportunity to hear.
That's no problem. I'll be back from Chicago Marathon, so I'll have plenty to talk about after running that marathon on the 9th.
You got it. So, hey, tell us best ways of getting in contact with you. Best ways of getting in contact with you is just turn on 1240 WGBB next Sunday
evening.
At 7, you will be here hosting by yourself without Ted. Nowhere to be found.
I'm going to go find another person to host with me.
Oh, my goodness.
But I guess the best way to reach me is on the web, www.askdrmichele, Michele. That's askdrmichele.com. The office number for MS Family Medicine is 516-794-2200. That's 516-794-2200, and that is extension 8.
Perfect. Dr. Michele, I know we're going to talk this week about your impending hosting duties here. Hey, have a blessed week, all right?
Yes, you too, and have a great show. I'm going to go back to listening to it now.
All right. Thanks again.
All righty. No problem. Bye-bye.
And that was our friend Ask Dr. Michele. Aris Persidis is in the queue because guess what? There's something happening this week that's going to draw up to 100 million viewers. That's what's being estimated. Guess who happens to live near Hofstra University? None other than yours truly. So along with all of this happening, our two presidential candidates meeting face to face, there's not a better time to talk about. There's a great app out there that I'm not sure how many people know about it. It's called VoterMo. But before we even get to VoterMo, I was introduced to Aris maybe 18 months ago, because he has this wonderful app called Gridiron Mo. Aris, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ted. How are you?
Pretty good. Glad that you were able to take a few minutes out of your evening. It's all on the news. They're streaming this week on Facebook, on Twitter, on all the stations. The great debate, HRC versus Trump, and their initial debate. With all of that's going on, Aris, I was kind of got a sneak peek at an app called VoterMo a while back.
It's a good one, isn't it?
It's a really good one, and I wanted our folks at 1240 AM WGBB in Long Island to hear about it, because I've heard about this exclusively on our Wednesday night podcast. So I wanted to, for once, do the usual. I'll decrease, allow you to increase. Tell us all about VoterMo.
Well, thanks for having me on the show and giving me the opportunity to describe this. So I think of it as the app for the 99% of us, even more, where unless you are in receipt of one of those special polling boxes in your house, or Nielsen or Gallup or one of those, calls you and asks your opinion, if you want to express your opinion on the candidates and their position, you really don't have much of a chance, do you? Unless it is Election Day. And so we were very frustrated by the inability that we have to express our own view, let alone that of for everybody else. So we built this app where 24/7, right now it is 5:18 Eastern Time. If right now you and I, Ted, are having a discussion about what each of the candidates thinks about the environment or Social Security or so on, There is nowhere, Ted, for you, me, or the vast majority of the audience of the show to go express our view. Nowhere. Well, there is now. We built it. It's called Voter Mo. And you go there and you can simply express your view and see what 100,000 other people at this exact minute that you and I are talking about are thinking about HRC or DT on various issues. And I think that's something that we all need, to, on our own terms, express our view. Don't you think?
I definitely agree with you, because the media, the mainstream media, likes to shove certain things down our throat and tell you about their specific narrative, but we would love to interact with each other. And what's the best way? We think, it has to be through social media, but there's a lot of, people out there that have, different thoughts and a lot of negativity out there. And that's where you introduced us at Late Night Parents to the app, and I said, this is phenomenal.
Well, thank you for the kind words. And again, to talk about the negativity and so on, and you're absolutely right. So one of the things that we did on our platform, on our technology platform, was to include what we call integrity control. So you can only vote twice per issue, per candidate per day. So it's a way for everyone to make sure that the system can't be faked or gamed, which is very prevalent in just about everything else that we see. We wanted to have that ability. And then we wanted to take out this notion that we all of us see all this hate and this language, and it's just not helpful, whether you're on the left, the right, the center. It's just not the American way. I don't feel that way. Maybe others do, but I don't. And so we wanted to give all of us the ability to say a very simple thing. I agree, I disagree, or I'm undecided on 10 of the most important issues that affect us all, like the environment,
right,
education, Social Security, size of government, the deficit, these types of things. And take away the ability of us to show, the ability of the haters to show hate, but give everybody, the 99%, the ability to say, I agree, I disagree, or I'm undecided. And give us all that ability 24/7. That's what I love about it.
Aris, so you were able to recreate an experience with somewhat similar to your Gridiron Mo, where we had football fans all over the world, and, whether there's an offensive play or defensive play being called, and we get to critique whether or not that offense or defensive coordinator made the right specific call. So tell us about that experience with Voter Mo. So there's going to be watch parties everywhere across America and abroad to watch this initial debate at Hofstra University. How does the app interact with that actual watch party, or
right.
Basically, you explain it.
Yeah, so you're right. We started the experience here with football, and it's I'm feeling very good today because here in Denver, the Broncos won our first away game, so that's always good, right? 3-0 with your team is always a good thing. So the whole idea with football and with Gridiron Mo was that you get to call the offense or defense play live and in sync with the game on your TV, or if you're in the stadium, and then you get to see what tens of thousands of other people are thinking at that precise down. And it was that amazing experience where everybody can express their view and then see what a whole bunch of other people are thinking at that exact moment that led us into this notion of politics, and we don't have that equivalent capability in politics. And so we created Voter Mo for that reason. And so for the debates, we don't do anything special. There's plenty of debate specials around, but there is one thing that is missing that perhaps should be the most special, but we just don't call it, which is to say, if you or me or anybody you know are not in those studios and are not in those carefully controlled, carefully selected audience groups that we see on TV, how on earth are we going to express our view? Where? So you go on the websites, of course, and the polling websites and so on, but I just have an issue, a credibility gap with that. I do, and I'm not the only one. I believe it's about 99% of us that have the same issue with that. So we're not doing anything special. We're simply letting what we call the sentiment of America, the sentiment of voters, just roll over the app and let it work like that in the most native way. We really like that. We think that is an important thing to do.
So, Aris, I have a question. So let's just say I'm not a techie. I'm someone that was just introduced to the application, and we're in awe of it because it is a great app. So if I want to customize it to specific questions or, when we get into the guts of the app, are we able to customize it, or are the templates already just set up and kind of like that's where you're going from there? Walk us through that.
That's a great question, Ted. So we have the following ability in terms of customization. We can sponsor a question to the people that are on the app and the people that are using the app in order to express their view. And there are two types of questions on the app that you can say I agree or disagree or I'm undecided. One are the core issues. One is the set of core issues, so education, the environment, the budget deficit, government, that type of thing, healthcare. There are 10 of those issues that are common to everyone. They affect all of our lives daily. And so we want to know whether we agree or disagree or are undecided relative to the candidate. And so those are standard. Those are always there. And then on top of that, we can put in front of the people on the VoterMo platform specific questions. In fact, it's interesting because candidates want to know if they can ask specific questions of the VoterMo audience and participants and see what the real-time demographics are and so on. So it's not as if you and I and the people that are on VoterMo and expressing our views can put a specific question. We don't do that because we're looking simply for your knee-jerk, your native response to how these candidates are doing and performing on your terms, not on their terms and the polling terms. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. So, Aris, tell us best ways to get to this application, download it to our mobile phones. Like I said, our audience wants to know about it. How do we obtain this application?
So it is on iTunes for now. We're working really, really hard to get it on Android as well, and hopefully by a couple of weeks we will have that. And we're very sorry we haven't been able to do it sooner, but we're working really hard to get it on the Android platform. So with apologies to all Android users, for the iTunes users, it's VoterMo, Voter, M-O-E, Mo, and you just download it from there. And you can actually see a lot more information on the website of Grid News Bureau, so that's one word, gridnewsbureau.com, where that's our company and where we house all of these capabilities, and people can learn a lot more about them and what they do and what the aim of them is. So VoterMo, M-O-E, on iTunes will get you going.
Aris, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out this evening to join us and talk about the VoterMo app, and I hope the watch party is going to be as exciting for you as it will be for us here as we use the VoterMo app as we watch Hillary and Donald Trump battle it out Monday night. I want to thank you again.
No doubt. Ed, thank you very much, and thank you for what you do. It's awesome content, what you do. Thank you.
Thanks again, buddy.
Bye-bye.
And that was Aris Persidis, who joined us, the creator of tonight we didn't get the chance to talk about Gridiron Mo or Baseball Mo, two other great apps, but Gridiron News Bureau is the website. A lot of great stuff going on with that company. What else can be said? Other than that, I think we have coming up very shortly, we're going to have my good friend C.S. Keys from San Diego sports leader, the mighty 1090 AM. He's not in the queue yet, but it's always good to talk with CS because now the one thing I do want to say is most of these people that we're introducing on the show here, the weekly show, we've had them on the podcast. So along with that is the podcast is more long form where we can delve into and in detail talk with, parents that want to talk about technology, or educators that join us, entrepreneurs that also join us. But we do a heck of a lot of product reviews, and that's the long form. That's the Wednesday night Blog Talk Radio / Happy Hour Network. We do our local show. Really, for the most part, internet radio show, where we get into long form. Most of the time, it's an hour podcast. Sometimes, on special occasions, we go 2 hours. And for the most part, it's been weekly. I know lately we've been slacking off a little bit, and we've been doing 2 hour shows. 2 hour shows twice a month. So with that, real quickly, want to get in and thank some of the people that distribute the show. We have the best radio partners and media partners in the world. Want to thank our good friends at UNIR1, Mr. Scott Price, Life Improvement Radio, the Underground.us, Arena Sports Network, I-95 Sports. Want to thank the folks there. Mile High Radio in Denver, internet radio station that plays our show. MileHighRadio.com aired a marathon of late night parents today. So I want to thank Bobby Blackjack and those folks there in Denver for airing us and showing us love. But without further ado, it's my pleasure. Had him on the podcast on several occasions. It's the great C.S. Keys from San Diego's sports leader, the mighty 1090 AM. You're going to know, if you don't know him out on Long Island, you're going to love him after this. C.S., what's going on, brother?
What's going on, my man? Too Tough Ted. What's going on with you, baby?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's. I've been looking at this NFL, and there's one pregame show, every morning, irregardless of what coast you're on. There's one pregame show for the last couple of weeks that I've turned to listen to on the radio, because it's not the mainstream media. It's the CS Keys pregame show, brother. I got to tell you, the relaunch of the show, I've been waiting. I was wondering, wait, are they holding the brother down? What's going on out there in San Diego?
Well, I'm just a grain of pepper in this sea full of salt. Go ahead and interpret that any way you want. But
glad to have you back on the air.
I appreciate it, man.
Not only here for the first time at 12:40 a.m. WGBB, but glad to hear you back on AM radio. It's definitely a pleasure, dude.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, and congratulations to you with your show, man.
Oh man, come on! You laid the groundwork. All I had to do was jump on the CS Keys show you let me on there about 5, 7, 15 times, and I said, wait, this is what you do. This is how you do it. But
hey, each one help one.
Yes. Each one teach one. Also, keep it real, CS.
There you go.
So there's a couple of questions that I want to just throw by you, because, like I said, if I had my own pregame football show, I would answer it myself, but I don't have one. So I got to talk of all the things that I want to know about. There's 3 major questions. One, I want to ask you, Bill Belichick and his plug-and-play quarterbacks, plug-and-play offense, defense, greatest of all time, coach and GM, does anyone come close to what this guy does?
You know what? He's in the conversation, or as some people would say, he's in the room. But when you look at the coaches and GMs in the past, it's kind of hard because eras are always different. But I can tell you right now, in today's era of football, there's nobody that touches Bill Belichick. I know he gets on some people's nerves with some of his press conference antics, but really that's just Bill being Bill. If he was away from the media and just sitting down and talking to you, he's a cool dude to be around, funny guy, believe it or not, to be around. But his main motto, his main mantra, if you want to call it that, is do your job. That's all he says. That's all he teaches. Do your job. And there's no big special ingredients to be mixed up in there. It's do your damn job. Don't you worry about what he's doing over there. Don't you worry about what he's doing over there. You do your job. And that's what it is with the quarterbacks. You're saying plug and play. He has those guys prepared. Preparation is the main thing with Bill Belichick. My good friend, the late Junior Seau, played his last 4 years in New England. He told me, he said, CS, I love Bill Belichick. I love the Patriots organization just for the way that they treat people, how they take care of their players. All you do is concentrate on what you're supposed to concentrate on, that's doing your job. So it doesn't surprise me when you had a Jimmy Garoppolo or the third string dude come in, I forgot his name, and you're going to end up having one of the receivers, I think Edelman, is the fourth string quarterback.
Yes, yes.
It doesn't surprise me when they come in and they have success because they're doing one thing, their job, what they're trained to do during the week, what they practice during the week. They're not worried about somebody else's thing. That's his thing. Do your damn job.
So wait, is it easy to say it's a system team or system offense or system defense? I mean, I'm just kind of at a loss for words because, like you said, we understand they have to do their job, but, I mean, this guy gets it right 10 out of 10 times.
He does. And if you want to call it a system, I would agree with that because when you look at it, when you plug different people in, be it year after year or week after week, and it's still working, it is a system thing. My thing is I can't wait if they go, I shouldn't even say if, they'll probably go 4-0 with Brady with his 4-game suspension. You know what that's going to do for the Patriots looking at the commissioner? Like, do you want to suspend 4 games? Turn around, kiss both of them.
Oh, my goodness. We're talking right now with the great CS Keys. You can find him on Twitter, CS Keys Show. His show, CS Keys pregame show, is on San Diego Sports Leader, Mighty 1090 AM. That's 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. You can catch him. I mean, you'll enjoy it. Question number 2. NFL ratings are down. Is it due to oversaturation, or do the protests have anything to do with it? Or is it the bubble getting ready to burst? What's your take on it, CS?
Well, you know what? The NFL bubble is not going to burst at all. I mean, unless they keep going to London and crap. I mean, you need to stop them damn games in London. But it's not going to burst. The protest thing, I don't think it really has anything to do with it. And to be honest with you, obviously there's more players, more teams. Even the WNBA, the entire team took a knee down, I think, this past week. I get the protest. I would have taken a different path because not with the national anthem. I get how people are upset at that. But Kaepernick has come out many times saying it has nothing to do with the military, men or women. He explained a million times what it has to do with. I understand what he's trying to bring awareness to. Unfortunately, in my opinion, the way you're doing it overshadows your message. But now with so many people doing it, the message is getting out even more. And after you saw what happened, this past week with the preacher getting shot down and murdered, I'm not even going to say killed. He got murdered, period.
Yes.
And the cop was off with pay.
Yes.
This is exactly what he's talking about. So, I mean, the message is starting to get through a little bit more instead of being overshadowed by what they're doing. I don't think it's that. For me personally, and the ratings, you're talking about 3-4%.
Right.
But for the NFL, that means millions of dollars. But I think it's because it's election year. You've got so many people tuning into these knuckleheads running for office, trying to figure out who's going to say what and what they're going to attack somebody else on here and there. Once the election's over in November, you'll see the numbers come flashing back up again, especially when the season gets closer to the second half, when some of the games start meaning something. And to be honest with you, some of the matchups the league has got this year really aren't attractive, to be honest with you.
Gotcha.
There's been a couple of matchups in the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's like, I'm not really worried about it. Like tonight, you got Dallas and Chicago.
Right.
Okay, let me get some reruns of Good Times. But you might want to watch Dak Prescott. I'm pulling for the brother because I'm telling you right now, if he plays 4 or 5 more games and performs the way he's performing, Dallas fans, you have seen your last of Tony Romo. I'm telling you right now. Tony Romo can't step on his shadow without getting hurt. You got to have somebody in there you can count on.
That's true. Hey, CS, here's a question I got to ask you, and you're probably going to scream at me. And it revolves around shutdown corners. I know you're tired of hearing the whole shutdown corner theory. But can any of the current so-called shutdown corners hold a candle to prime time? And I'm including in this conversation Patrick Peterson, Josh Norman, Darrelle Revis, Richard Sherman, or Aqib Talib?
Good question. But that's why you're too tough, Ted. But, prime time was prime time. I mean, when he came in, he came out the womb with jewelry. So when he came in, he was flashing. I remember when he got off the plane, when Atlanta sent the plane down there to pick him up, he had all the jewelry on there. He was bling, bling, blinging. Primetime was a different animal altogether. Plus, he was also a return man, especially in the punt game. You don't have a lot of guys doing that right now in today's NFL. But then again, it is today's NFL, which is a total different NFL.
That's true.
To answer your question, there are some shutdown corners in the game. I wouldn't compare any to Dion. If you want to talk about some shutdown guys, maybe Akeem Talib, I'll give him that. I would give maybe Revis, even though the island may be sinking a little bit over the past couple of weeks. But when, the Jets are looking bad right now. Sorry, New York.
Yes,
but
sir.
The Jets are looking bad right now. Look like they landed. So, especially today when they got taken down by the KC Chefs. I mean, the Chiefs.
The Chiefs. The Chefs.
I call them the Chefs. You can't really compare Norman and Sherman in that conversation because of the defensive scheme in which they play. A lot of people get on them because they're only on one side. They're on the side that the defensive coordinator tells them to be on.
Right.
If they call a different defensive set, they would be covering different receivers. But the thing is, though, they are paid to cover one side of the field. Whoever's on that side of the field, that's who they go to cover. It's just like Josh Norman said, my office is open from 1 to 4 every Sunday. I'm on the left side of the ball. If you want to come see me, come see me. Now, you got Talib, who covers all over. You got Revis, who covers all over.
Right.
Patrick Peterson, he covers all over. So there are different schemes of defense. I wouldn't call them Deion Sanders. I would call them very good shutdown corners in today's football.
CS, before we let you go, there's one bonus question. You're, of course, San Diego's finest. What's the status of the Chargers in the new stadium? I heard something about the mayor was going to make a comment or something like that. What's happening out there?
Man, this city, even though I love San Diego, I've been out here 16 years, and it is America's finest city. But the politicians in San Diego versus like some of the things that go on with sports, it's ridiculous, man. I left Pittsburgh. I worked there for 5 years. I left Pittsburgh. I came here to San Diego. They had not one but 2 stadiums on the measure. It passed on the first ballot. I've been here 16 years, and these damn fools are still talking about a stadium all this time. They just can't get it right because there's so many different sections around here. They're just looking out for themselves. Now, they're talking about putting a stadium in downtown San Diego. Now you got the hoteliers who are fighting that because they want that tax to go to them instead of going towards the stadium. Man, the bottom line is they'll get it done, in my opinion, because the Chargers aren't going nowhere. Yeah, they have a little deal on the table talking about going to L.A. But let me tell you something. I've been telling people this for the last 3 years. You got to be wanted to go somewhere.
That's true.
Nobody wants this damn team. I'm looking at the TV right now, and they're about to lose to the Colts 26-22 on a last-second pass that went, I think, maybe 60-something yards. Their defense is butter, soft as I don't know what. Don't nobody want this team. They got to get it together first. L.A. don't want them because L.A., if they want another team in L.A., it'd be the Raiders. And the Rams don't want the Raiders in L.A. because the Rams will have a better fan base than L.A. does in L.A. So they'll get it done here in San Diego. How they're going to do it, I don't know. But it's like you want to date Halle Berry. But she got to want you first.
That's true.
Well, maybe not Halle Berry because I heard she crazy as hell. But to be honest, I'll take that crazy.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would. Oh, my goodness.
They'll get it done. I just don't know how they're going to get it done, man.
CS, it's always fun to have you on here on 1240 AM WGBB. This is your first time. Definitely won't be your last. And I will be listening to you, as I've always have, definitely next Sunday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Thank goodness you did it, 12 p.m. Eastern time for the folks like myself. Because if you had did it 6 o'clock in the morning or something crazy like that, you would lose out on a lot of folks on the East Coast.
Well, they would lose out, too, because I can get my ass up at those 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm just rolling over at 5 o'clock, getting in from doing some midnight creeping, less midnight sleep.
Oh, my God. Too much. Yo, CS, man, thanks so much for joining us. Hey, best ways to get in contact with you on social media?
Social media, CS Keys Show on Instagram and Twitter, and CS Keys fan page on Facebook.
Thanks a lot, brother. Much love.
Much appreciated, always, Ted.
And that was the great CS Keys. We are going to have a quick, you know what? No breaks tonight. No breaks. I think I said at the top of the show, no breaks. Super engineer Brian is like, Ted, you want to take a break? Nah, not at all. This is the quickest 60 minutes in history. So I think at the start of the show, I was talking about Charlotte and Tulsa and everything that's happening. And, there was one person who I could get on here because we talk online all the time, my good friend Shawn Armor. And we just did a podcast this past Thursday. And I said that there's not many times in life you could say, I've had a friend for 40 years. I've had a friend for 40 years, and there's been no drama. There's been no backbiting, nothing. And even when we didn't see eye to eye, it didn't, it didn't end with a pound or a handshake or anything like that. So I want to introduce to you my good friend Shawn Armor. Shawn, how you doing?
What's up, Ted?
What's going on, man? It's you and I talk about race relations. You and I talk about a lot of things in life, and we've connected again to talk about why did Charlotte explode, why Tulsa prayed over this past week. I'm just going to open it up to you to get your thoughts, your insight on that specific topic.
I think one city fathers, if you want to call them that, handled it like they cared about the community. They felt that they had a problem, and then while they didn't want to condemn anybody, they also kind of kept it open. Where you had another group of city fathers who thought that the best thing to do was to tell you to trust us. and I don't think that people were ready to do that. And I think it might also have to do with the communities. I don't really know a lot about the communities, but from someone looking from the outside in with just layman's knowledge of both these places, I would say that the secrecy is what's really people are just not having it anymore, because it just looks so blatant. And in one place, it didn't look sinister, quite frankly. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense because from what I can see and what we talked about on the podcast, you had the city of Tulsa, which, okay, so let's look at the end result. The end result is there's two fathers. Let's pull the African-American part out. There are two fathers that won't be around to raise their children. Okay?
Right.
Okay. So that's the end result. Now, how did we get there? How we got there were, we saw it through video. We saw it through everything. The situation in Tulsa, which happened the previous Friday,
right?
The video was released immediately. The police chief came out, made a statement, never saw a gun, never saw a person not complying, and said, You know what, we need a third party in here to investigate this.
Right.
Where
it took them all of about 6 hours.
Right. Right. Where in Charlotte, you saw something totally different, and you saw someone
stonewalling and trust us and stonewalling essentially.
I don't get
it. I don't want to say stonewalling, but it didn't look as open and clear cut to what a lot of people in the community thought should have been a little more transparency. So I think you're right.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is talking about transparency, Shawn, but you saw it in one city. In the other city, you kept seeing a police chief and a city manager or mayor jump up there. The media is spinning the story. It took the media a day or two because they were still reporting on the terrorist, the terrorist activity. But you saw a police chief and you saw a mayor, a mayor/city manager, and the governor up there pontificating over, well, it wasn't a book, it was a gun, it was this, it was that, and you've got your city in ruins, burning on live TV.
They're arguing, it doesn't make any sense. It seems to me that they were also talking about just the humanitarian aspect of what happened there. the guy had his wife there. You know what I mean? I mean, she's recording this, and it's just, you know, she's never mentioned it. So, I mean, people, I don't know, man. People need to really, I don't want to say take a step back because, you know, this has been going on for 500 years. But I think people, and I'm talking about the people in power, really need to look at this as a chain of events and stop looking at these things as one-ofs and one-ofs and one-ofs. Because I think the population is looking at this as an ongoing string. And, you know, time and time again, there's ways to handle it. And sadly, it seems like every week, you see a different guy up there with 4 stars on his collar, you know, putting the spin on it. And it's just kind of like, all right, let's play this game this week. Do we believe this guy? Do we believe what he's saying? And it shouldn't be that. You shouldn't be playing this game of do I believe the apparatus here in America. This isn't, you know, some backwoods European country. They should come out with the facts, and they rarely seem to do that.
I just see it as we're in the times of they come out with the facts, but there's
selective facts. Let's call it that.
Yeah,
they're not lying to it, but the facts are so selective. You're just
right. The facts are selective. They are put out there, but there's always a justification behind it.
Exactly.
There's a justification behind why this happened, because this person wasn't compliant or this person wasn't, you know, whatever the situation is. I mean, it's already a hard job.
Right.
You know, being in law enforcement, very hard job. We all have friends, family that are in law enforcement, and we you know, we're praying for them each and every day.
We respect it, exactly. But we also have friends and family who aren't in law enforcement who've been, you know, as my British friends like to say, mucked about by some random cop who's just wants to mess with you. And we see it on tape all the time. And this is what it really is about. They're trying to make it anti-cop so they can get some standing in the town square. But it's really about the people who want good policing. The people want quality policing. You know, and we don't want to keep debating these shootings of unarmed people. The people want quality policing. And this is what the struggle seems to be about nowadays. Quality policing versus the old boy spin machine of, you know, he was reaching, he looked like he was on LSD, from a helicopter, mind you, on LSD. You know, and nobody buys these things anymore.
You know, there was a podcast that I did 2 years ago with retired New York Police Department detective, and he's now a law professor, Kirk Burkhalter. We did it after Ferguson. I'm going to have him come back because we talked about, and I've shared this with you, I believe, in the past. The topic we were discussing was what to do, the do's and don'ts when engaging law enforcement.
Right.
And the discussion, you know, and here's the hot button issue, because whenever someone says this, the discussion that you have to have with your children.
Right, which we all get.
The discussion.
In one form or another.
Yes. The discussion that we received when we were children.
Right.
And this is the same message that we are delivering to our children nowadays. Because
what do you mean nowadays? People have been getting this message in the black community since the slave ship. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just what you tell your son so they can survive in this environment. I hate to say it. So people are always shocked that, you know, you give these boys this talk, and it's not really a new thing. If there's any tradition, it's that tradition. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I'm with you. I'm with you on it. I'm with you on it. So
yeah,
there's a lot of things that are happening. You've got, you know, the protests that are happening with the athletes nowadays. You've got the big debate that's coming on. When do you foresee a change? When do you foresee a real change? When does it become an actual movement?
You know, I think I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. I mean, you know my history. I've spent the last 20 years protesting stuff, and the last time I went around was Occupy Wall Street, and then I was like, I'm just done. I don't see enough changes. I see people showing up taking selfies. I don't see any change happening. So I was done. I thought me retiring out of it, like protesting work, was Barack Obama. I voted for him. I was like, excellent job. I'm done. So now what I see is after I've given up, because people didn't really seem to be taking it seriously, everybody seems to be doing something. You know, like that old 60s expression from Malcolm X, everybody can do something, you know, for the movement. If you sew dresses, you can sew dresses for the movement. So it's that kind of thing. So everybody is on their little computer, cell phone, passing it around. And that is huge, because when this whole thing started all those centuries ago, we weren't even allowed to stand together and talk, right? And standing together and talking puts everybody on the same footing. You know, we all know what we don't like. We all know, we just don't know what to do about it. So you always hear this, that black people aren't a monolith, and I always tell people that's ridiculous. We generally all want the same thing. The people who tell you you're not a monolith are, you know, I just think they're crazy. And I've kind of lost some of my thread here from wandering. But essentially, I mean, I don't know. I think the change is on us. Like I said, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. Okay. I think once you get enlightened, it's hard to go back into the dark. And everybody is passing around these images on Facebook and talking about it at dinner tables, and they may not be showing up 10,000 at a rally. You know, you're still getting 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people, which, you know, is not a lot of people. But once people kind of kick up and show up, I think it's going to be like just a flood of people. I think it's going to go from 5,000 to maybe 10,000. So all of a sudden, you're going to have 70,000 people marching to places. And that's how fast it's going to be. I think people are still kind of like slowly dipping their foot in the water, because everybody has this outsized image of what someone who changes the system looks like. You know, it's Dr. King with advanced degrees and all this religious and spiritual discipline, people who speak well, you know, as they always say. And those are the people who will go to the town square and get people motivated and activated to do something. I'm just I'm a bus driver. I'm a waitress. So I'm a cop, for instance, you know, and I'm not for this, but what can I do? You know, a wage slave. And I think that's kind of still in the ether, but eventually people are just going to throw that away and say, this is what I have to say about it. And once people start having those vocal kind of conversations out in the town square and it's in the ether, that's when I think the change will come. But I think we're close. I really do. I think within the next 2 or 3 years, and that's nothing, but it's been going on at such a steady clip. And we had this conversation in the chat room about how long before everybody in the NFL is kneeling at the national anthem.
That's true.
You know? And we were like, somewhere around Thanksgiving, I anticipate like more than less will be doing it. You know what I mean? It's going to hit a 50% tipping point. And just because they're not going to stop doing this, so are they going to stop reporting on it? All those guys in the NFL, they drive these streets. You know, they have a dog in this fight.
Sean,
yeah.
I want to thank you for joining us. We're going to have to continue this conversation, but our time has come to a close for Late Night Parent radio show on 1240 AM WGBB. But I want to thank you for joining us, providing your insight and your thoughts on...
Thank you for having me.
Hey, whatever, you name the date and the time, and we've got a place here on a Sunday evening. So I want to thank you again for joining us. We're about to close out. I want to thank all of our guests tonight for joining us, from Dr. Michele to Aris Persidis, C.S. Keys, Shawn Armor for joining us. The next couple of weeks, I will be at Smithsonian National Museum of